All right, 2 o'clock on the dot. We're gonna get started. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Johnny Bronto Lipscomb. I go by Johnny Bronto. I run Haunt Scene. So how many of you ever heard of Haunt Scene before? Raise your hand. You can lie to me, that's fine. Okay, so we're a travel show for spooky shit. We travel all over the country. We do haunted houses. We've been doing that since 2015, so this will be our 9th season upcoming. Pretty awesome. What we're here to talk about today is how to leverage technology to engage your audience on social media. So we're gonna be talking about gear today. Just give you some ideas about how to use drones, 360 cameras, scare cameras, action cameras, your phone. I'm not gonna get into the nitty gritty with like editing content. Just here's a device, here's how you can apply it to a haunt, all right? So we're gonna start off here. I do have this PowerPoint. If anybody wants later, you got a card, email me. I'll shoot you a copy if you want it. If you ever have any questions, my phone number's on there. Just reach out to me. Pretty easy to get a hold of. So the main thing we're going to talk about here is leveraging FOMO. What is FOMO? Fear of missing out. Okay, showing something at your haunt, your experience, that's going to want to make it so other people can't miss it, right? Here's how awesome this haunt is. Look at all this stuff that's going on at this haunt. If I don't do this thing, I am missing out. That's what these devices can do, right? So we're gonna talk a lot about leveraging FOMO with this stuff. So we're gonna talk about ScareCams, action cameras, drones, 360 cameras, and I'll wrap it up with just some quick tips on smartphones. What I do not want you all to do is just run out and buy a bunch of stuff, okay? I will have specific examples of the gears that I have in my kit. If you want, shop around all this stuff. Don't go out and spend $3,000 on all this stuff. I'll show you, we'll talk about that, okay? Don't spend a bunch of money right off the bat. All right, sourcing gear. Like I said, don't rush out and buy this. There is a good chance that if you have Scareactors, they may have some of this stuff, right? You don't have to use the latest and greatest GoPro 11 Hero Black that costs 500 bucks. You can create some of this content on an older device, okay? Don't rush out and buy a bunch of stuff. See if your actors have this. And the good part about this is if they have it, there's probably a good chance that they not only own it, but they also know how to use it, right? So if you don't know how to fly a drone, if you don't know how to use an action camera, they could do that. And you can give that little responsibility or ownership to them. Now they're creating content for the haunt, now they're more invested, they're the rock star, you know, use all that stuff, okay? So don't rush out and buy a bunch of stuff, see what your crew already has. ScareCams are awesome. Out of everything we're gonna talk about today, this is like my favorite thing ever. How many of you use ScareCams at your haunt? What? What? How many of you see every year, like when Ellen DeGeneres was sending somebody through the haunt? Anybody watch that clip before? Anybody ever watch a ScareCam video? What do all ScareCam videos have in common?
It's hilarious.
They're all freaking hilarious, right? Especially the people that don't know how to be scared. They lose their minds, they start hallucinating. That is fun stuff. How many of you have local celebrities that come through your haunt? Radio personalities, influencers, that's who you strap the camera to, okay? Or the 90-year-old grandma or something like that, okay? So ScareCam, Sherry, everybody give Sherry a hand. So here are a couple things that you can do. So this is a ScareCam. We use this at almost every haunt we go to. If you go to a ScareCam, a couple things, you need a rig. This is a fancy rig. If you want to write this down, this company is called Glide Gear. Now, when it comes to these ScareCams, you can get away with spending a lot of money if you want. This is like 200 bucks. They do make cheaper ones, or you can reverse engineer something else. Our original ScareCam was an old VHS rig. All it was a shoulder mounted thing. It was pretty ingenious, but it didn't really look that cool. This thing looks cool, right? So you get a person, you strap it onto them like this, right? You put on there, you put all the straps on things. Now I feel like I'm gonna be all over you here. John's touching one of his crew. But it's pretty easy. You go and you do this. Now, what kind of stuff do we have going on with the ScareCam? We can use a couple different things here. We're gonna get into action cams and all that stuff a little bit later, but you can also go in and you can use night vision cameras. How many of you guys have ever seen night vision video before? Okay. Night vision, what color is that usually in?
Green.
Like a green, right? What about infrared? What color is that?
White.
it's like a pink, right? Like a pink color, right? So you can do this a couple different ways. If you're gonna use a ScareCam, if you use a night vision one or an infrared camera, usually you're pretty good. You need some sort of external IR resource or night vision resource. Some of the cameras are all built in. This right here comes from a company called Ghost Stop, which is a company that does paranormal stuff. So this is a GoPro that is built for ghost hunting. And it has a little infrared light built in. You're done. You buy it, you're good, right? They also make a little light, and this one affixes with a magnet here. You could look into that. Or you can use an action camera, GoPro, DJI Osmo, or whatever. Here's where you have to start thinking about how you're going to utilize this, because if you're using, instead of using something with a built-in IR, if you use like a action camera here, these things, most cameras, when they don't have light, they're horrible. You guys ever watch a really crappy GoPro video? It's all grainy and whatever. You want this to look good, right? So you grab something like this, you set it to 4K, whatever frame rate you want, you can slow it down, but you might want to grab a little light for it, okay? When you add a little light, then you don't have to grab something super duper expensive. Make sure it has some kind of light. With these right here, you could strap this on like that if you wanted to, and then when you use it, make sure you give it a little bit of light, because if you don't, your footage isn't going to look that great. These things are like 20 bucks. They're really cheap, okay? Now, when you use this right here, here's the problem with this, is some people overdo it. We did ScareCam at Howl-O-Scream in Tampa, Florida. And my co-host, Melissa Lukac, was doing it, and they had a very similar rig set up like this, but the light was so bright, she couldn't see anything. And if you can't see anything when you're walking through a haunt, what are you gonna miss out on? The scares. And the whole point of having a ScareCam is you get the scares, right? So if you use something, don't crank it up too bright. They need to be able to see where they're going, but they should also be able to get scared, okay? This is really easy to test out. You can go in, have some Scareactors, have some crew around, strap on the ScareCam if you want to, send them through, and then adjust it accordingly, okay? Make sure ScareCams out of everything. I think these are like the number one thing to put on your list if you're not using it. Now, should you do 1,000 ScareCam videos throughout the season? No, just do the best ones, right? Take a bunch of ScareCam footage. When we do that, we usually do, if the haunts let us, we'll do ScareCams through the haunt with permission, but we usually edit it like the highlights of the stuff, right? You would be surprised how people lose their damn minds in haunts. It's hilarious. Now, when you're creating this content, you put that stuff up. Was anybody in the influencer class earlier with Willie Mays? Yeah. That's a perfect person to strap the camera onto, because they're gonna wanna post that. And if they post that, they're gonna tag you, or you can do the collaborator function or whatever. That's a really good cross promotion thing that you can utilize for your haunt. ScareCams, awesome. I think every haunt should have one, all right? You don't have to go out and spend a huge thing. I mean, I will admit, when we show up with this thing and we strap it on, people are like, what's going on? Did ghost hunters just get here? Like, it looks legit, but there are cheaper options if you want to step it up from there. The cool part about something like this is it's adjustable. You can put it on the front, you can put it on the back, but you buy this thing once, you're good. You're going to get your money's worth out of it very, very quickly, okay? Another way you can use ScareCams, instead of it being front-facing for the person, you could also turn the camera around. Now all of a sudden you have a walkthrough, somebody going through the haunt, Scareactors are jumping out or whatever. You're not gonna film the whole haunt and spoil everything, but if you just cut it to where it's a constant assault of that person getting wrecked in the haunt, that's also some content you can create, okay? So use ScareCams, okay? I like the IR stuff. We used this all last season. It comes out like a pink color. There's something about that really low quality, grainy ghost hunter footage that's kind of cool. But you can also use the 4K camera, whatever. The main difference between this and this, other than the IR, is when you use something like an action camera, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is these have built-in stabilization. You guys ever watch a video and it's just shaky cam, shaky cam, shaky cam? Some people, that really turns their brain off. These have built-in stabilization where it will at least level it out a little bit, okay? So what do you think, ScareCams? Yeah. All right, write that down. Okay, next thing, I'm already getting ahead of myself. Okay, action cameras. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
I think we might be good with you.
Okay.
All right. I could have strapped that onto myself, but that's all good. All right. So, like I said, Carrot Top, action cameras. How many of you have an action camera? GoPro, something, okay? Couple things about this is there are a couple major brands out there. GoPro, Osmo Action, and then there are a gazillion other brands out there, okay? These are used so many different ways. So when you're in there, they need light. You gotta have light, okay? That's the thing going forward. Gotta have some kind of light. All right, these cameras don't do well in dark areas. You got to have mounts, right? You can buy something like this. This is like 10 bucks. It's a little clippy thing. You can strap a GoPro to it. You can put this on your hat. And then all of a sudden I'm getting a POV shot of me going here, right? You can put it underneath if you want to. You can strap it to a backpack or whatever. There are different ways to use something like this, really cheap solution to get that going. ScareCam mount, tripod, you're gonna need a micro SD card, okay? When we take a lot of footage, spend the extra $5 and get one of the big SD cards to get a ton of footage on there. Because if you go a little cheap on that and you get like a little, 100 megabyte SD card, the footage goes pretty quick. When you're filming, try to film in a higher resolution, 4K, okay? 1080p, that's like 5 years ago. 4K, which means it's gonna be more detailed. You can film in a higher frame rate. That way you can slow it down. You guys ever see something spooky that's slowed down to like a slow-mo? Hilarious, do that, okay? So you need that stuff here for the action cameras. You can do different things here. One of the things that I did earlier, haven't put it online yet, was I did what was called a hyperlapse. I just walked up and down the floor, up and down the different rows. And it will speed it up to like a 15 times speed. So it's like you're rapidly going through stuff. You can do a time lapse. Time lapses are awesome for action cameras. You basically take your camera, you just point it at the sky or your facade when it's still light outside, and eventually the sun's gonna go down. That's a cool transition to show off. You can use these things so many different ways. There are a lot of utility with action cameras. They're awesome, okay? Record scares. You can stick this in the corner of a room. How many of you have like the money shot scare at your haunt, where you know you're gonna get like 90% of people? Set it up there, boom. You can do this with the infrared camera. You can do this with a GoPro or Osmo, whatever. Put it in the corner, stick it there. This is great stuff to create content, right? POV shots, time lapse, under construction. This is gonna be a really stupid question. How many of you have heard of Haunted Overload? Please say I have. Haunted Overload. You guys ever look on their social media? How often do they post? It seems like daily. And it's always, we're building stuff. Hey, look at this. They take a 4-hour video and they collapse it down with like a hyperlapse or a time lapse into like a little 30-second clip. They're engaging people with what they're working on. They're not spoiling anything. They're just putting content out. This stuff, when you create this content, this is also really good stuff for your off season, right? How many of you, when your season's over, you just shut everything down and you start posting again August 1st? Be honest, right? Don't do that. Stock up on this content. Take way more than you need, because this is stuff that you can use in the off season to always stay top of mind with people in your market, get people going to your haunt so they can plan on returning so they don't miss out, okay? When we're traveling, when we're going to different haunts, we take hundreds of pictures, thousands of pictures. Our Dropbox, we have a huge backlog of content, so we have stuff to post all year round. Right? I'm not a haunter, okay? I love the haunts, but imagine how you could use this stuff. At least post once a month. Remind people to do stuff. Put your Scareactors in bunny ears. Easter's coming up. Do something, right? To stay out there. Show crowd lines, all right? Part of FOMO is showing how busy something is. You might say, oh, well, I don't want to show my long lines. You do, because you're leveraging that FOMO. People are going to want to be a part of that. You can do a hyperlapse, a little 10-second walking by your crowd, and then people are like, oh my God, so many people are here, I better not miss this. Do that. Characters getting ready. How many of you have makeup booths at your haunts? Probably everybody. Set a camera down. Do a little time lapse here, right? One of my things I really like is when you see horror movies and they do behind the scenes, and you got the actress or actor, they sit in a chair, and sometimes they're in the chair for 4 hours getting their makeup done. Well, I don't want to watch a 4-hour clip of that. That's kind of boring. But if I can speed that up and do a little thing where it's only 30 seconds, and they do this rapid transformation into a mummy or a werewolf or whatever, that's awesome. You know, and you can do this for all of your different characters. You can do this here. You're not spoiling anything, okay? Have content available. Like I said, sun going down, haunt going up, right there. The moon coming up, whatever. This is easy stuff, low-hanging fruit. These cameras, I don't want to say they're idiot-proof, but they're getting there, all right? You used to have to go into the deep settings and say, oh my God, what do I have to do for hyperlapse? No, now they say time-lapse, hyperlapse. You just hit the button, try it out. How many of you travel for stuff? How many of you guys go to different conventions? That's content. Film yourself driving somewhere, okay? There's different ways you can use this stuff, all right? Use all the things. All right, action camera tips. Number one thing, I would get a name brand, all right? I hate to say, you know, spend a bunch of money on this stuff, but you're like, oh man, GoPro's like $500. This Osmo Action's like $400 or whatever. You're like, oh man, that's expensive. You know, and then you've got, you know, the knockoff versions, the no pros, right? And those are from like China. You're gonna get what you pay for. They may say they have the same specs and all this stuff, but it's a reason why it's $50 or less. They're gonna come with every GoPro mount amazing. Like, wow, this is such a great deal. You fire up the footage and it's just like, I mean, bad footage does have its place, but bad audio is always bad audio, okay? I would highly recommend you get a brand name when it comes to this one. If you have a splurge on something, GoPro, DJI, something like that. Also recommend to purchase extra batteries. Like I said, not selling you anything, but usually these days when they have like a new camera comes out, they'll have like an action pack or something like that, or an adventure pack, and it comes with like a tripod and comes with a couple extra batteries. The batteries do go pretty quick. Depending on your SD card and how much you're doing with this stuff, have a couple extra batteries on standby for that. The one that I got, the action pack came with the little selfie stick, came with the 3 battery thing. I could charge all 3 of them at the same time, so it makes your life a little bit easier. Personally, I feel like it's worth spending the money, okay? Get a name brand. Drones. How many of you have used a drone at your haunt? Okay. How many of you have acreage at your haunt? Okay. Those two things should go together. If you have a wide epic haunt, if you've got a hayride, you've got all kinds of space, show that stuff off. People do like that sense of scale. I'm not just going to some, 5 square foot haunt. I'm going to something that's big, right? You can also leverage this to show like crowds, people in line. Look at how many people crowded up to do this haunt. Look at how many people are waiting in line while the sun's still up or whatever. You can use this here. You can use a drone for planning, right? You can take a down shot of your entire space and then use that for blueprints and things that you're gonna do with the haunt. There's a lot of utility here. Drones are awesome, okay? This is a DJI Mini 2. Once again, I got the little adventure pack with this. Now there are some legalities and things like flying over people or whatever, but that doesn't mean that somebody at your haunt doesn't own a drone. Don't go out and rush and buy one. There are a lot of companies that have drones and they do drone photography for like real estate and stuff like that, but they're expensive, okay? For what you pay for that, these things are pretty self-explanatory. You turn them on, they go up, they stay steady, you hit up, you go down, okay? Couple tips with drones. Don't get cocky. Don't get cocky flying these stupid things, right? I was at All Hallows Eve, Terratown, Williamsburg, Kentucky. And I'm sitting on a bench, overhang, it's sunny out, whatever. And I'm like, I took my drone out. And I'm like, I put it in the sky. And I was like, you know what? I want to get this whole little Old West town. I started backing up. And I started backing up. And I started backing up. And guess what I backed up to? A bunch of trees. And my drone just went dead. Okay, these things don't take a lot of a beating. You got to be careful here. Don't ever launch a drone unless you are watching it, okay? Don't get cocky. Don't be like me, all right? Pretty cool. Here's the thing a lot of people forget about drones. Cameras in them, really nice, 4K, right? Did you know that you can actually take a drone and you can use it as a handheld camera, right? You know when you do a video, you're on your phone, or sometimes when you turn a GoPro on, you're just hoping the footage turns out great? These guys right here, when you open up the app to fly this, it's gonna have a preview of what you're looking at. It's almost like you have a video monitor to see what you're doing. You can put this thing on a tripod. You can move the gimbal up and down if you want to. You can use this different ways, okay? Just because it says, hey, go fly a drone in the sky, doesn't mean you can't stick this thing on the ground and do stuff with it, okay? You don't have to have everything. You can have an action camera. You can fake a drone shot if you want to. I'm gonna show you how to do that in a moment. There are different capabilities of different devices. You gotta decide, what do I wanna invest in this, okay? Drones are awesome. They're really cool. Now this is a Mini 2. You need a drone. Once again, I do recommend extra batteries. Drones aren't like they used to be where you get to fly them for 5 minutes. Any good drone should be at like 20 minutes in the sky. And 20 minutes should be plenty for what you're recording, what you're doing there. Don't fly them at night. That's just stupid, all right, because you're gonna crash it, okay? Buy extra batteries, you can get extra propellers. Make sure you get a big SD card for that, for the footage if you're doing high quality stuff, all right? Show the scale of location, show the crowds, can be used for planning. They can be used as station cameras too if you want to. Talk about that. And then, how to fake a drone shot. So let's say you don't want to buy a drone. You can, if you just buy an action camera or you borrow an action camera, you can take your action camera. And you're like, wow, I can't fly a drone indoors at Fear Expo. Thanks a lot, Doug. I didn't ask. But they make really long selfie sticks. This thing's like 10 feet tall when I fully extend it. You can put this thing up there if you want to, and I can use this for my drone shot. So I can hold it all the way up here, and I can start doing this, and I can do all the things that I can do on a drone if I want to, walking around doing all the things. Now, this right here, this action camera and this thing, the combination of these two things as cost goes, is a lot cheaper than owning this and a drone. So maximize your budget as far as what you're doing with that right there, okay? And don't hit anybody with this. Yeah, these things are they're not like those police things, all right? Pretty cool. Any questions so far? How are we doing? Question?
Where did you get that selfie stick at?
Amazon. I'm horrible with Amazon. You know, Amazon one-click buy is the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. You know, because I'll be watching a YouTube video and I'll have this idea at 2 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden I'm like, I'm gonna buy that. I don't even remember it. It shows up at my house like 2 days later. I'm like, ah, man, it's fine. All right. All right. Any other questions? Good question. Yep.
Do you know if that make those for cell phones?
Well, they make the little holders for them, and they're all modular. Yeah. Now, would I want to put my cell phone 10 feet in the air and whack around? Probably not, but you can if you want to, okay? Fake your drone shot. All right, one of my favorites, 360 cameras. All right, very niche. I do not see a ton of y'all using this, okay? 360 cameras can be used many different ways. As a matter of fact, almost everything I've talked about today can be recreated on a 360 camera. You can do your fake drone shot. You can do time-lapse, hyperlapse. But the real power of doing the 360 camera is the fact that it actually films everything in a circle at once. It's awesome, okay? So this is a Insta360 1X2, all right? This does everything an action camera can do, hyperlapse, all that stuff. You can use the fake drone shot. You can use everything right here. Now, you'll notice on the 360 camera, there's a lens on this side that's half a sphere, half a circle. Here's the other side, half a sphere. And the way the software works is it will make this selfie stick disappear. So if you have this attached to something, a person, a Scareactor, a location, it will make this disappear, which almost looks like you have a floating camera. Awesome. And the cool part about doing a 360, I'm not this hardcore about it, but you could literally walk around like this And it's filming everything. So you can readjust the angle in post. You can fix it. You can just hang it over your shoulder if you want to. It's awesome, okay? There are a lot of YouTube videos on how to use this. So what would I do with this when it comes to a haunt? A lot of stuff. How many of you put out commercials? Like actual videos for your haunt to preview them, right? Pretty cool, right? You film the commercial, it's awesome, shows all your characters, shows all your location. But it's cool and they're awesome. They're like a little horror trailer, but they're static. All they can do is hit play, pause, rewind, whatever. What if you could do the same thing, but they could interact with it, right? What's really cool about a 360 camera is if you upload your little clip to YouTube, they can spin the camera around, see everything, okay? Sherry, I need you.
All right.
Have a seat in this thing. How many of you have wheelchairs at your haunt? Like prop wheelchairs? How many of you have prop gurneys at your haunt? Anything that rolls, right? So this is a little belt, and you can strap this onto the front or back. You can hide it under a shirt. We were walking around a convention, and I just extended this, and I had my co-host just walk the floor. You can walk the whole floor in 360 if you want to. Pretty cool, right? But this thing is also adjustable. You can wear this on the front or back if you want to. So imagine that Sherry here, who's awesome, was in a little wheelchair, maybe you got like a little asylum theme or something like that, and you've got one Scareactor wheeling them through the haunt, maybe showing off different scenes here. This is going to catch everything, and when you put that video out, people are going to be able to interact with it. Pretty cool, right? What if you have a nightmare scene? Somebody's in bed getting attacked or whatever. Put it under their shirt, because the software will make this disappear. So it's like a floating camera right above them. Needs light, always needs light, but you can make that stuff disappear. There's like unlimited uses for this thing. It's awesome, okay? Gurney shots, you can do wheelchairs, you can do nightmare scenes. What if you have hanging bodies from your haunt? How many of you guys got stuff hanging down? Dead sacks of people or whatever? Strap it to that. And then you can see people going through if you want to. This is a really good way to show off things like new scenes. Another thing that we do a lot is we will set this up on a tripod. And we will I'll say, hey everybody at the haunt, hey all the characters here that we have availability, stand in a circle. And then I could do a static shot if I don't want to do a video, and then people can see some of the characters are all leaning in, all scary or whatever. And I will be honest with you, those interactive elements get way more clicks than static videos and static whatever. People want to interact and click on stuff and spin stuff around and do all kinds of things. There are a lot of companies that do this. The main one, I mean, I've always used Insta360. I've always had good luck with it. So I mean, I can stand behind that one. Once again, not sponsored. But 360 cameras, this is actually the older one. There's a 3 now. And they always get better and better and better, okay?
What do they go for?
I think this one was like 300 bucks when I got it. Maybe 400 bucks, yeah? Ish. No night vision. Yeah, 360 cameras, crucial, have light, okay? If they had a 360 night vision camera, I would be all over it. It would be amazing, yeah. And you know, these are like little GoPro things, like the one that I had earlier, wherever the heck it went. Oh, the Ghost Stop one. The lens is a certain way. They make it a certain way. You can't just buy a GoPro and stick an IR lens on it. You got to buy the camera created a certain way. Okay, pretty cool. All right, $229. Thank you, Sherry. All right. 360 cameras, what do we got with this one? 360 cameras, like I said, don't do well in the darkness. They really don't. None of these cameras really do well in darkness. Mounts, invisible selfie stick. These kind of come standard now. They usually come with a invisible selfie stick. Don't lose it. I had to buy another one before this. The body rig, you can use this in conjunction with the ScareCam if you want to. All of these things can be used with each other. That's why I like to, it's all like a little bit of ecosystem of gear if you want to use it. And then make sure you get a micro SD card. And make sure you get lots of storage with that, okay? What else we got? Static photos. This is what's called a tiny planet photo. This was a Hauntcon in New Orleans a couple of years ago. You can manipulate the image to where it looks like everybody's standing on a little planet. Kind of cool. Kind of a different piece of content right there. Scareactors in a circle, scenic photos, gimmick shots. I don't really get hardcore into this, but when you go into the 360 cameras, sometimes they have little gimmick shots. Like they may make the world a tunnel that you're walking through or something like that, or you can clone yourself standing in a circle or something like that. Some of these go pretty crazy, but it's all really interesting stuff. Most of them gimmick shots are actually built into the software for the 360 camera. They're pretty cool. All right. Already talked about that stuff. All right. This is gonna be a dumb question, but how many of you guys got smartphones? All right, how many of you all have iPhones? Raise your hand. How many of you have Android phones? Raise your hand. Notice how I kept my hand up. Because I have my iPhone, which I'm using here for this presentation, but in the season, I also carry around a Google Pixel. This thing is old. This thing's like 2019, right? It's like caveman times, right?
They have upgraded now.
They have like a Google 7 now, okay? So with smartphones, this is your bread and butter because you're gonna create all this content. I'm not gonna get into the editing part of it, but you're gonna use your computer or a smartphone. Everything I've talked about today, you can manipulate from your smartphone if you want to. You can publish it via your smartphone here, okay? But with smartphones, they themselves have some really inherent content. And this is like low-hanging fruit. Some of them may have the ability to do time lapses or hyperlapses or whatever, boomerangs on Instagram. The big thing right now is going to be Reels, TikToks, all this, YouTube Shorts. They're all the same type of thing. You're going to film all this stuff here with your smartphone. Depending on what you want, you need a smartphone, you need a tripod mount. I got a little mount for this to keep things stable. One thing that people really don't like is shaky cam stuff, external microphone. Some of these devices have wireless microphones. So if you're going to be doing talking head stuff, interviews, any sort of sound included in the video, try to get the audio as good as possible. It's pretty inexpensive. Usually you just need a little adapter or something like that. And then an external battery pack. I know I've got a million of these somewhere, but having extra battery packs. When I'm here at a convention, my phone goes down pretty quick. Live streaming, taking pictures, doing videos, doing social media stuff. Having backup battery packs works pretty good for these. Usually works for other devices as well. Pretty awesome. Make sure you have those. And then smartphones. Easy stuff. You take your smartphone out. I need some content today. Walk into one room. Video, 5 seconds. Post, done. You don't have to be fancy with it. Just make content, okay? I want to do a picture of my character, my Scareactor. Most of these phones, pretty much all the phones these days, they have what's called portrait mode, where it makes it sexy, right? It does anybody know what the bokeh effect is? Normally you can't do bokeh unless you have like some sort of like mirrorless or DSLR camera. It's built into these now. These are almost as good as those really high-end cameras. It's pretty crazy, right? Bless you. Was that a bullshit?
No, it's
Oh my God, that was some weird timing, man. Bullshit. I was like, damn.
I'm sorry. I've shot more than 1,000 weddings in my lifetime, and I know what you mean, though.
Yeah. Now, like I said, cost. Do you want to go out and spend an expensive camera? I'm sure your rates are reasonable, but you can also do this stuff yourself if you want to, okay? Now, I still carry this thing around. This is a Pixel camera. My phone is an iPhone 14 Pro, not the Max. I wish I would have gotten the Max one, but I still carry this around to do pictures, okay? I don't know why, but this Pixel right here takes better photos than my actual brand new iPhone. This right here is like a cheat code for taking pictures. It has what's called night sight on it, night mode. Okay, iPhone's trying to steal it, but this still does. This one from 4 years ago still takes better pictures than my current iPhone. I thought I could get away with getting a new iPhone and not carry this around, but I still to this day carry this thing around. If you want to do photos, this right here will sexy it for you. It will make it amazing. The AI in there is great. Great for Scareactor photos, okay? Another cheating thing. How many of you guys have ever used a light bar before? Cheat code, right? You have no light in your haunt. It's a dark hallway, whatever. Grab one of these things, 30, 40 bucks. RGB, change it to whatever color you want. I got my remote right here. Green, blue, whatever. And you can make your photos really, really good with this. They're really cheap. Very, very, very versatile, okay? Use that in combination with this, and you will get awesome pictures. And they're kind of, I don't want to say idiot proof, but they're very easy to do. Very easy to do. You can profile your Scareactors. You got main Q actors, you got main icon characters. Take some pictures of them. That's really good off-season content. Hey, by the way, here's Bobo the Clown or whatever. He's, you know, in an Easter basket or something like that. Figure it out, okay? Use all this stuff. It will help you. Quick panning shots. Like I said, content. Record, whoop, done. Live streams. How many of you guys do live streams from your haunt? Okay, hold on, raise your hands high. So that's not everybody? What? Okay, your phone content, FOMO. You're busy tonight? Show that off. You're giving away tickets? Show that off. Get people invested in going to your haunt. You can live stream. Do you need to live stream every day? Some haunts do. Nightmare Dungeon. Almost every night, the guy's he's doing a live stream. Hey, do that stuff. Post all the content. Creating content is awesome. Having a Dropbox full of 20 gigabytes of amazing stuff that you created is awesome. But it's not really going to do you any good if it's just sitting there. You got to post this stuff. Get it out there. Any content is better than no content. All right? Get the stuff out there. Create this stuff. Character photos, scenic photos. You know, a lot of times I talk to y'all, some people are worried about spoilers. Do not worry about that. The general public, the normies, they don't care. They just want to get that taste of what it's like to go to your haunt. What does it feel like, right? They're not going to remember the details, but give them the aesthetic. What are you doing? Okay, what's your haunt all about? All right? That's it for me.